What's up, people, and welcome to a new episode of Knicks and Six. Cam Smith, and I got my running mate with me, J-Dub, John Wallace. And John, you know the vibes are always good when we connect, man. But we got to send those vibes to the Knicks because they're getting ready to embark on their 6-game West Coast trip. So we're going to give the people 6 things that the Knicks must do to be successful on this West Coast trip. And Dub, since you're the former NBA pro, you know how these West Coast trips go. Let's get into it, man, and tell us reason number 1 why the Knicks can be successful on this trip.
Well, it starts off with the very first game. I remember Coach Van Gundy always saying that on those West Coast trips, especially the long 6-game West Coast trip, you want to start off with a victory. And on Sunday, when the Knicks play the Rockets, they have to get that victory. It might be a trap game. John Wall's not playing. You might, take him a little lightly, but you can't. Just like the Knicks didn't take the Chicago Bulls lightly last night. They can't take the Rockets lightly, and you got to start the West Coast trip off with a good victory. So I think that's vital to start right off on Sunday, beating Houston Rockets to get the West Coast trip going right.
Yeah, no doubt about that, John. We're connected on that because that was the first thing that popped in my head. You got to get the back-to-back. Beating Houston, beating Memphis, 2 teams that you have success against this season. We know that the Knicks beat Houston in early February, did the same thing to Memphis, which really started their 9-game winning streak, one of the longest winning streaks in the NBA. And if you remember, John, that was Julius Randle's 5th triple-double that he had against Memphis when the Knicks came back midway through the 4th, down 13 points. Julius had 15 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. So they got to get the wins in Houston and Memphis just to start things off on the right foot. And you know Tibbs is going to be all over that. Guys, do your job, get locked in so we can start this West Coast trip off on the right foot.
Well, there's an old adage in basketball that defense travels. And the Knicks have the number 1 defense in the NBA. Number 1 field goal defense, points allowed defense, 3-point percentage defense. The Knicks checked all the boxes at number 1. So their defense is going to travel, but against the Lakers, the Clippers, the Suns, and Nuggets, which also has a top 10 defense, those 4 teams, their offense is going to have to travel also. They're going to have to figure out a way to be a little bit more efficient offensively because their defense is going to, they can hang their hat on that every single night. But against the upper echelon teams, the top teams, those teams that are going to be in the playoffs in the West Coast, they have to really bring their offense against those, the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, and Suns. Their defense is going to, kind of cancel each other out. Their offense is going to, have to bring them over the top and get them those victories in those games.
And John, we played basketball for a long time, so we've heard this since we were shorties, that defense wins championships. And we know that the defense has to be there because Tom Thibodeau, if anything, is going to make sure that you defend because if you don't, you're going to be on the bench. So that's why, again, we're so connected because I'm thinking defense as well, and mainly with the guard group going against these teams on the West Coast, right? So you think about Phoenix with Chris Paul, who's doing his thing for the 35 and older crowd. And then we also have Devin Booker on that group. Then more so guard forward too when you think about the Clippers, maybe LeBron comes back for the Lakers. We'll see how that goes. But that guard group has to make sure that they're setting the tone for this group defensively, being the physical guards that they are, and Elfrid Payton, Derrick Rose, Reggie Bullock, IQ, all of those guys have to make sure that they're cut in and locked in on the defensive end. So John, let's finish this thing up, man. Let's give our final reasons why the Knicks must get it done on the West Coast.
And this has nothing to do with the actual basketball court or basketball. It's just about staying off your feet, not hanging out, not doing too much away from the court. You got to start getting in playoff mode, so to speak, like about right now. The really good teams, they don't wait till the playoffs start to get in the playoff mode and start thinking about the playoffs. It starts, like a month before. So this next 3 weeks or so, the Knicks are going to be getting into playoff mode, getting their mind ready, getting their mindset, focus on what they got to do for the long term. Short term, you definitely want to have a good West Coast trip. But long term, you want to get prepared and get your mindset and your body and your rest ready for the playoff run. And I think it's vital for them to get their rest, not hanging out too much, not doing a lot of ordering a lot of room service or delivery services, for food, but not trying to go out too much and staying off your feet as much as possible so you have all your energy for the games.
Yeah, man, stay in the room, watch some Netflix, play the game, whatever it is. Obi or IQ are bringing the games over, so they're making sure that they're staying in the room. RJ probably is too. So my third reason, John, is the other guys. And I hinted towards them a little bit when talking about Derrick Rose and IQ and all the rest of those guys. But I'm making sure that they have to understand that Julius is going to need help on this trip. So you got to come in Avengers style. You know that Avengers gift that you see on social media with all the superheroes are running slow? That's IQ. That's Obi. That's Reggie Bullock. Alec Burks is going to be back for this trip. They need all of those guys to help Julius and also help RJ when it comes to scoring and also defending. So if we can get some of that, then we'll be in a good spot, man. What do you feel about that, John?
I love it. I love it, Cam. And, I'm just looking forward to this West Coast trip. I'll obviously be tuning into every single game. This is a vital trip for the Knicks, and hopefully they come back from that trip looking good, baby.
And I'm trying to see some Obi topping dunks on the West Coast because it's going to be up and down, John. He's been playing some strong basketball in the past month. So if he can give some great minutes and get Julius off his feet, especially in the fourth quarter, when that starts off, then we'll be in a good spot. Listen, people, the Knicks are on the verge of making the playoffs for the first time since the 2012-2013 season. So those are the 6 reasons that the Knicks can be successful on the West Coast trip. From Cam Smith and my man, John Wallace, Mr. 44. We appreciate you rocking with us for Knicks and 6.